Billo here with a short story, The Room by William L. Ramseyer. There was nothing special about the room. It had a dirty wooden floor, slightly yellowed, and white walls. There were no windows, but that's not uncommon in our modern world of so many rooms. A door stood at each end, but that was not unusual either. They always met in the room. If I told you much about them, then you would think that you knew their story already. You wouldn't, but you'd think that you did. I might tell you at the end. I haven't decided yet. Oh, another thing. They always used different doors. That is, each arrived by his or her separate door and left by the same one. Personally, I believe that the room was always empty when they weren't there, but it doesn't matter. I'm no Zen Buddhist. I wrote you a poem, he said. I met some of my family today, people that I've never seen before, Portuguese, and my father's much smarter than I thought. He's smart, but he's lowbrow. Could you read me the poem again? Is it about me? Yes. He read her the poem. Where am I in the poem? Her voice had a frantic edge to it, a soft little girl sound. I like the poem. I really like it, but I'm a participant, right? The poem is not exactly about you. Don't take it personally. Sometimes poems are just the way you feel. Today there was a very kind, I could tell just by looking at his face, he was a very human man. He had nowhere to live, and he asked me for 65 cents, and he did it with such grace, such dignity. He was so proud without being proud about it. I gave him all my change and told him to buy a roll with his coffee. We were walking and talking and going to the deli, but it turned out that we were going to different delis, so we separated. When I got to my deli, I wanted to buy this man breakfast because I liked him so much, but he was gone. I sat next to another man at the counter. He was about 30, black hair, weak chin, and a mustache to try and hide it, unsmiling, reading his book of Socrates, a fish man. He ordered oatmeal. That made me suspicious, and I ordered 3 eggs. I was reading Dostoevsky. I told the fish man that he should read him and Kawabata and the other Japanese writers. He said he had a long reading list, but he might get to those writers in 3 or 4 years. He was a fish. I hated him. I wanted to hit him. Instead, I told him my philosophy of life about it doesn't matter. I just rambled on about the existentialists and the positive thinkers, the hopeless and the religious. I did it because I knew that he wouldn't want to hear it, since it wasn't in one of his stupid books, and because it wasn't 2,000 years old. I became more persistent, so he hurriedly finished his oatmeal and left, probably with a big lump in his stomach. Then I could eat in peace. I've never heard you say that, say you hate someone. Well, you see, I'm not in such a good mood today. That's why I'm being mean to you. You're being mean to me? I guess you are. You have 2 lives. That's what the astrologer said. He loved torturing her because he loved the sad sound of her voice when she was in pain. It sounded and felt like true sympathy to him, even though it was only sadness. What was the sound of her voice? Maudlin. Now I'm maudlin. The panic was back in her voice, the slight hysterical edge. No, it's not maudlin. I'm sick of writing. I can't figure out what I'm doing. I don't. He couldn't even find the words to say that he couldn't find the words. I don't see the point. The poem is like that. I don't have any feelings in it, but I must have feelings or I wouldn't write. What do you think? I don't know. Her voice was flat, but he knew. There was something that she wanted him to say. She wanted him to go out her door, or maybe she wanted to go through his door into the next room. Everybody wants to use a different door than the one they're supposed to. You want me to say you want me to be in love with you. You want me to fall in love with you. But I'm never falling in love for the rest of my life. Well, she said, even if I were tending towards that, I would never fall in love with someone who wouldn't do the same thing for me. The sentence curled up at the me. He couldn't figure out what it meant. You know, when I first saw you the other day, when I came to see you, you were distant, and then you weren't so distant. Well, you know, the closer you come, the more I back up. Then when you're too far, I have to get closer again. Sort of like on a string, she said. Well, like a string that's frozen. Just reel it in. You can control the closeness, but you can't control the distance. Don't you want to stand near the edge? No, I don't want to be near the edge. I don't want to fall. You know, you and I, we always want to push a little bit farther to go one step beyond. Well, get out your mountain climbing gear, Sonny. Put on your backpack and get your axe and your hammer and just climb right on up to the top. Why did she call him Sonny? The only time he'd heard of a woman calling someone that was in a book he'd just read by Kawabata, where the young girl called the businessman that, Sonny. But she'd never read it. He'd never talked about that part of the book. Maybe there's some stage in intimacy, some place of sadness, some distance between lovers where it was exactly the right word, the girl being the mother to the man. Well, I forgot to tell you about the furniture in the room. There was a mattress, a desk, some papers, a few books, only things that they brought to the room. Sometimes they took away their things and sometimes they left them. I didn't want you to think that the room was always bare. That wouldn't have been much fun, and fun was the whole reason to have the room. Anyway, many people think so. You know, if you want love, you can always go and buy a dog, he said. You know, it really makes me sad you have to say something like that. It was the tone of her voice, sort of resigned, understanding, and sadness. That's what drove him crazy. Her feeling that she understood completely, forgave him, and felt sad about it. Have you ever had a dog? He almost yelled at her. No, I never could have a dog. Well, I had a dog, and the love of a dog is perfect. That's what I'm talking about. You know, you think that just because I talk about a dog, that's a bad thing. What's wrong with animals? And if you want passion, you can always take drugs. Isn't that it? I guess there never really was a chance for us. It was the same little girl's voice. He liked that tone. Yes, that's how far I've gotten in my philosophical search. Dogs and drugs, it's all down to that. Yes, she said, and laughed with pain. He wanted to scream at her. He wanted to rip things in the room apart. Instead, he said, you know, I just realized that I've been hurting you. Yes, you have. Sort of a new form of sadomasochism with us. That's when we haven't tried. Her voice was shrill. This was always the same with him. He wanted to hurt anyone who was happy. He wanted to make people happy and then hurt him. It didn't make any sense. Maybe this is harder on you than it is on me. Yes, I think it is. I should be sympathetic, she said. She was right at the split edge of irony and sympathy. He could push her into hope or cynicism with just a breath. Instead, he moved on. She talked about her cousin that she'd just seen for the first time and the sexual undertones. Jealousy? Maybe that was why he hurt her. Maybe it was the season. The fall is like the spring, only upside down. He started to tell her not to fool around in her family, but she said it for him. He told her that she'd meet other people. It's easy for you to meet other people. You're very outgoing. I saw you flirting with Elle, and now you've opened her up. No, I never fool around with my friends, girlfriends, wives, ex-wives. Ex-girlfriends, maybe. Ex-girlfriends, huh? She paused and changed voices. I need to find some way for people to see my good side more quickly. Some sort of push out the emotional side. Yes, you're a little subconscious, like S. Like S? Maybe I'll ask Kay what he thinks of you. No, he might say something to you to change your opinion of me, and then you might not like me, and I couldn't stand that. All right, I won't ask him. No, don't ask him. I said I wouldn't, and I won't. You know, I'll tell you something now as your friend. It's very important. Uh-oh. No, it's not something like that. She stretched out her voice, feeling the room. You know, I've got the whole world outside. Maybe the best thing would be to end it all at once, or just fade away. And she did. He couldn't hear her last words. Yes, he said. You want it to fade away? He realized that she didn't want it that way either, but his pain made him push her. If you tell me about the other guys you have, I'll try and mess it up. My unconscious will muck it up. I'd rather not know. Well, maybe I could do that. Maybe I could do what you do. I could have everybody in little compartments. I could keep you in a little compartment. I could have pieces and fit them together. But you'd want me to tell you about it, and I'd mess it up, and you'd feel bad. And if I didn't try, then you'd feel bad too. It doesn't sound like a good bet, but I've been loyal to you. There was a high-pitched sound in the word you, almost hysterical. He was starting to sound like her. Yes, she stretched her voice again. You have, haven't you? But how do I know you have? I told you that I have. I haven't done anything. I told you that I'd tell you, and I haven't done anything. I'm not interested. Oh, but you'll find someone. Yes, I'd rather not hear about your new loves. It would be hard on me. You'll find someone else. They just fall in your lap. That's how it is with me. They just fall in my lap. But I'm not really looking for someone else. Yes, you really should take some time and find out what someone's like. Find a good one before you jump in. Oh, you're selling yourself to me, she said. I like it. It's sweet. We'll always be lovers. It's true, isn't it? She made a noise, a sign to continue. Remember the first time that we got together? Now, who pursued who? It wasn't much of a pursuit, she laughed sensually. I guess we just fell into each other's lap. But the second round, I pursued you for 2 years, right? That's true. Round 3, who knows? It could be something different. She paused. I didn't really realize how difficult this is. We're not going to see each other very much, are we? Yes, it's really a factor, big factor. I'd sort of avoided thinking about it. Well, I'll come to the room once every couple of weeks for a few days, and I may not be available to see you when you're here. I have things to do too. Yeah, and if we miss the boat, then it will be a month between visits, and that's a long time. It's too long for me. I couldn't stand it. Yeah, once we're having sex, one time a month isn't enough. Once every 2 weeks is the maximum. I'm not talking about sex. She said, I'm talking about being together. We won't have much time to talk, just time to fuck, that's all. He finally realized that they weren't on the same wavelength. Well, I guess we got that all figured out, he said. I guess so, she said. There was something funny in her voice. He said, maybe you'll get tired of this, tired of me. Could be, she said. It's really sad. I don't see a circle anymore. Now it looks like an upside-down V, and around the edges there's sort of something exciting. What are you talking about? I don't know. There's something exciting, something open, because that's the difference between you and me. You have your compartments, and I have the whole world outside the room. That's right. Maybe I'm jealous of that. I have the whole world out there. He felt like crushing and smashing it. Well, I sort of feel like keeping you, she said. Yes, I might not tell you about other men to keep you. Her voice had become soft, cute, wavy. I'd be able to tell. How do you know? Maybe I've already done that. Now we're sort of into Virginia Woolf Part X. Virginia Woolf meets Ted Dostoevsky. He realized that he was trying to turn her into what he was. So you're going to be like me? I might, to keep you. It might be interesting. Dear reader, it has been a long story, hasn't it? And I promise, well, I didn't really promise you. I said that I might tell you something about them. Maybe the moral is that love makes little things appear big, so that a room can for a time seem to be a universe fantastically infinite. They're kind of like all of us, aren't they? They come in by one door, and it's a wonderful room, but deep down they can't help it. They always want to try the other door. The end.